All right. I think we should be live. Let me check. Yep. All right. I think we should be live. All right. And I even muted it so we don't have to hear me talk. Okay. I'm going to put the word out for a second here that we are live. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Let's do it. Alrighty. Let's see. Firing it up. Oh, I already see it. I already see it. Oh, okay. Well, they do that, it still works, right? The bishop's cutting everything off. So we go back row mate. Another back row mate. Many of the first ones are just back row mates. Not super exciting. Another back row mate because of that pawn. Holding everything together. This is just a straight up back row mate. That's a lot of back row mates in a row. I thought at first it wasn't, but then I noticed it is. The bishop is holding everything together. Another back row mate. So we got 5 straight back row mates, and it looks like we finally don't. This is kind of clever. So the bishop's holding everything together, and it's backed up. We could stick this bishop here, cutting off the last square, and now I'm just looking what can go in between. Rook we can take. Rook we can take, so we're good. This one looks like this rook is covering this. We can just stick the queen in the king's face. And we got a queen in the face mate. Okay. This one's a little trickier. If we take here, the king cannot run away because the queen's covering it. And if we take here on g1 and the king takes back, well, then we have mate here on h1 with the queen. So that's a clever little one. All right, so immediately I'm seeing something here that's important. This pawn and this bishop together cut off all of these squares, which makes it so that something like, oh, actually, it's even easier than I thought. I was thinking we could do something like check and check. And actually, that won't work because the king can actually come here and cause problems. So really what it is just checkmate, right? Because this rook is cutting everything off. So we just go back row mate. Interesting stuff. This looks like mate, though. Right? This is this idea that if you have the diagonal mate and these two squares are cut off, then you know it's mate. So we can just know at a glance that that's mate. That check is very enticing as its mate. The only problem is it is covered. So does that end the story? It does not. We calculate one move farther and we say they take. Well, we can also then take with the bishop. And because this is cutting off all the other squares, that's actually mate. So we can sack our queen. Well, I guess trade queens is a better way to put it. And then get the checkmate. All right, so this queen is doing some work, cutting off a lot of squares. If we could put a rook here, it'd be mate. We can't do that. And we are in trouble. I guess that's not checkmate. We can scooch out. Maybe we could. No, we can't because the bishop's covering. So this is mate. So we need something immediate. And I'm looking at this piece, holding that square down, so we can just do queen in the face. Mate right before they mate us. That square is not available. This square is, though. And when the king moves here to g8, then what is the question? We do have this check on h7. King continues to move along, moves to g8. Then what? So I don't think that's quite right. I think it's still probably queen g6, king g8. But maybe now we're bringing the bishop in somehow. The bishop could come into either d5 or h7, actually. Yeah, and I'm thinking if we go queen takes h6, king g8, bishop d5 check, the king has to move to f8. Now we pick up this bishop, and now the king is in more and more trouble. Oh, we don't pick up the bishop. The rook is covering it. Huh. Okay. It's getting a little harder. Check there. Also, funnily, I said we could check on h7. The bishop cannot reach h7, of course. Check there, there, there. Is that actually just mate? Or do we go queen h6, king g8? Is bishop d5 just actually mate? I was thinking they'd be able to escape here. They cannot. So I made it harder than it actually is. Okay, so we got there. No chatters yet. No top fan of the day. Easily claimed. All you have to do is chat once and you can be the top chatter of the day. Let's see. We can make a goal. What are super chats? Choose the super chat colors that count. What? All of the colors. Share how I'm going to celebrate? Okay. Well, since there's no one chatting, we will tackle that another time. All right. Black to move. This is cut off and this is cut off for now. But if we did something like a rook lifting over, then the king can come out through g5. So I don't know if that works. But what does seem like it probably works is this check where the bishop's covering it and the knight is covering all the escape squares. So this is just mate. The three-piece working together so perfectly, so harmoniously. I think I see mate. If I check on d1 and the king tries to escape, I cut off all of the escape squares. Yep. Oh, what? I did not mean to do that. Oh my goodness. That was me trying to do the rook over and then thinking I clicked it, so then click. Oh my, that's really frustrating. Wow. All right, well, we should do the puzzle since we were here. Holy cow. And this is a very easy one. It's just mate right there. Okay. Well, it's going to be real hard to get to 50 today. We just gave ourselves a bit of an extra challenge. Taking the rook with check with the queen can only come out the one square on b7. Check there, there, there. It's definitely pawn takes d8 queen, right? We just know that's the case. So then the question is where from there? And I think actually from there, it's bishop, because then all these squares are cut off. The king has to go back, and then the bishop just goes there. So, okay, yeah, it's much easier than I was making out to be. I mean, this check looks promising. It is unfortunate that this queen can go in between, but we can then stick the bishop here, chasing the king a bit. Let's say the king comes over to e1. How would that work? I don't like having these arrows hanging around. It's harder for me to calculate with that. Could also start with rook c2 to set up a lot of mate threats. The problem is we're just vulnerable where I think they could do some stuff between the bishop slicing through and the queen being able to go through. I think this is just a better approach. Well, then the question is, do we go here with the queen? Do we go here, take the rook with the queen? Do we go here and check? We're down an entire rook. So just getting that rook is nice, but it doesn't ensure victory. The king would have to go to e2 if they move the king. Then we could check the king on g4 with the bishop. Problem is, oh, okay, the rook maybe comes in this way when the king comes out. Yeah, so I think we take the rook here and move on. I wasn't able to fully calculate that. First petition for a Chess 960 Lichess Arena stream in the future. You know what? We can definitely do some like goals and things like that and do something like that. That would be interesting. I'm still trying to figure out if Chess 960 is good for me, bad for me, what it is, or if it's just a fun thing that's not chess. I don't know. I'm having a hard time figuring out how I should think about it. Takes, and then what? Like, that just seems like a pretty obvious play. Also, this guy is pinned. If we could attack it a second time, we'd be in business, but this pawn can't move up. If we did something like this, and they did this, and we did this, they could even still not have a big problem. So I don't know how to attack it a second time. I can't drive the queen away. So what I need to do, some sort of double attack here. This guy's loose. Is hitting the bishop, so that's annoying. So like if I were just to attack it, they could take the bishop, and then probably I'd take with the rook. Okay, I think this is it. Take, and I was thinking I don't get anything by going there, right? Like I can't figure out how my queen comes in, but my rook can go here, supported by the pawn, double attacking. So that's the double attack. I was thinking we were looking for a queen double attack because she's such an amazing double attacker. But the rook can also be a good double attacker. Okay, so notice. King is being cut off. We can just checkmate. This looks like rook roller situation, right? Because this rook is holding down this. Yeah, there's rook roller. Blink. Okay, I gotta stop doing that. That's 2 times in a row. I would have missed the next puzzle because I was already making the final move that then I didn't have to make. So I have to be more patient there, I guess. Okay, so this is troubling, right? They're hitting our queen, our rook twice. This is actually pretty similar to a game situation I had yesterday where I almost went for this idea of taking here. It's check. They have to take here, and then the queen hangs. And it works here. In my game, it did not work. Thankfully, I noticed it didn't work, and I didn't go for it. Also, I didn't notice that this back row was going to be an issue. So I'm glad I didn't go for it, but I thought probably 15 minutes about making the sack. I had to calculate every line multiple times. Several of them worked great, but then there was one line that just did not. I think it highlights one's understanding of opening principles without theory to fall back on, and you really need to talk to your pieces from the start. I find it very fun. Yes, I agree with all of that. I think it is a fascinating version of chess where every game is an exciting new experience where you're kind of like, like you said, I know the opening principles. I want to put my pieces on good squares, but trying to figure out the order in every position I do think is very interesting. There's actually a lot I like about 960. I just worry that I'm not very good at chess, so just focusing on one variant might be better for me. And then B, like, is there a lot of crossover with the skills you learn? It seems like there would be, because it's more about like understanding how to get initiative, how to understand how to use pieces. I don't know. It's interesting. All right, this looks like the answer. Check. King comes out to g5. We win a queen. Like, that seems like it would have to be good. There's also ideas like this quiet move first, which sets up a mate threat. Not there. Here. I think they can just probably stop it, maybe with this. There's also ideas after this check, and they come out. What if I just check here? So, but this is definitely the right answer. Okay, I think the computer agrees that from there's a couple different ways you can do it, and they're probably all good. I think we talked about Nocti yesterday, Fried Foxy. I decided to try it again today, and it seems like the second move that it said was a mistake last time, they've upgraded to be great. So I don't know if that is, the Nocti team being very proactive and saying, well, obviously we need to change that specific evaluation, or if they change something, or if the AI changes its mind from day to day. But I was happy to see that that update had already happened, whatever that means. I don't know enough about AI to know what that would even mean. Okay, is this actually mate? Check. Here, takes because the bishop's backing it up. King comes over to h3. Now what? Question is, now what? I'm also, yeah, I guess that doesn't work. Just looking at a lot of different angles for this queen. What's the best way to go in? It looks like it's going to be hard to double attack any pieces. The queen and rook are backing each other up, which limits our sort of cool possibilities. We could also... No, it doesn't work either. What do we do when that king escapes to h3? Nope, we can't go there. I was looking at f5, but the knight can take. Huh. I'm not sure. I think this has to be right, but I'm having a hard time from here. This is the line. Like, how... Oh, okay. Now I see. It must be queen f1. Then the knight would come block. And then we can come up here, and then it will work. Okay. Yep. Just had to lure that knight away, and then we can get mate. Hidden Channel says, I wish it was easier to play long chess 960 games. Really? Like, what do you mean by long? I don't know what the limitations are. On Lichess, is long versions of the game not possible? Or are you just saying it's really hard to find people to play with? And apparently I don't know how to drink water. Okay. Let's see. What do we want to do here? I mean, we've got a nice David versus Goliath. The pawn attacking two pieces. Of course, when you look at that, you have to see, can either of these pieces do something cool? The knight cannot. The bishop can. The bishop can just take. But if we take the bishop and lure the queen in, then it's a whole nother ballgame. Then it works. All right, David versus Goliath. Goliath has been slain once more. Okay, this is what I'm looking at, this rook maneuver. This pawn is holding up everything to make the rook maneuver work. Oop. Thanks, pawn. You're the best. Okay. A couple of options here. This pawn is holding off that square, so if I went here, the king could only go to g7. That doesn't look good enough. We also have the idea of rook to h7. King has to go to g7. Then we could check the king. King can continue only moving over. Now we could check, but then king's still coming out. So everywhere I'm looking, it looks like the king gets to escape. Another possibility is just checking immediately with g7. And then if the king goes to h7. Oh, I thought I had bishop e4 mate-ish. Not mate. But then the queen takes. Interesting. And we're facing our own problems. That's checkmate. So, I think the answer is this rook check here and just starting to bully the poor king. And just eventually... Eventually we seem to run out of squares to bully. I don't know. I can't see it. If we had time for a quiet move, we would probably be good. Like if we could go bishop d5, setting up the mate, that looks like it would work. The problem is we get mated. So once again, rook here check. King moves over. Ah, maybe this is it. Then when we check and the king goes to f8, we don't check with the rook. We slide in the pawn. Yeah, that's going to be the answer. And then, yes, the king can start getting away, but we get the queen with check. And then they're busted. What's up, Daniel? How are you doing? Let's see, who's our number one experience today? It is Fried Foxy, and number 2 is Hidden Channel. So congratulations so far on holding down the one. Wait, Hidden Channel. Oh yeah, Hidden Channel was the second person to talk. Got it. Okay. Takes. Looks bad. This is a weird position. What about this check here? What do they do about that? They could move out of the way. They could block with the queen. Neither looks especially bad. If we went takes. No, it doesn't work very well. I think it has to be this queen check. Ah, the queen check also... Oh, the queen check is very clever. Now I see it. Okay. So the queen check allows us to get out of the pin, which allows us, if they go here, we take. Then we get to go here with check, and then there is a pawn fork. So that is a very clever idea. The question is, what if they just move the king? If they do that, then what? Maybe then we take, or maybe it's go here, hit the piece. I don't entirely know exactly how we're gonna make this work, but yeah, this is what I said. Okay, got there again. Okay, what do we do here? So it is black to move, so this pawn is going up that way. Can't take their pawn. I can force a queen trade by going here. That will force their rook back to the back rank. They are 1, 2, 3, 4 away from claiming me. 1, 2, 3, Yeah, so I'm a bit too slow actually to bring my king back. Their king is too close. So just simply trading seems like it is not a good plan. Everything else seems very drawish though. Like if I go here to protect this or to attack that pawn, that feels like it's probably a draw. If I try to move the king in and they move the king over, they're probably actually just winning. So I feel like it has to be forcing the queens off, but I'm not seeing that work. So one more time. Here, 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 here. Oh, this does work, doesn't it? Here, here. Yeah, okay, it does work. All right, sometimes you have to actually just do the physical calculation. All right, we got there. I am doing well. I had a fun beginning of the day. My oldest child is going into 11th grade, so we went over to UCLA for the day. Haven't been there in a while, so that was fun. Showed them the campus. They haven't seen it, since they were very young, and I was teaching there at the time. So it was a fun morning. Chess-wise, bad game last night. It was very frustrating. It was a reminder that I don't know how to handle the Dutch very well, and yeah, it didn't go well. So what is happening here? It looks like white is crushing us. They're about to get a pawn to checkmate us. To queen. The king is just safe enough where there's no big attacks on the king. All the pieces are backed up other than this lone rook. This is very challenging. Okay, I guess their queen is hanging. Okay, I didn't see that. I was so caught up in other things. But I don't think I can take it. And if I take it, I get checkmated. So what am I doing? And I feel like if I go king g8, I mean, I'm just losing. Like, I might not be lost, but I mean, I'm not. They're going to move their queen. There's no way I can claim I'm winning. Okay. See, an interesting idea. I could start with this check. Now, if they take, this is no longer coming, and I can take them. And then I win. And if I go here, it's check, and they move the king, then I just take the rook. So I think this is the answer. Okay. That was a tricky one. I like it. I like it. Beat an IM in 53960 the other day. Nice. Yeah, the Dutch. Yeah, it was very frustrating because what it was great. I'll start with what was great is that there's a player at the club. He's about 2000. He's very good. And as soon as the game was over, he's like, come here, we should talk. And I was like, yeah. Oh my goodness, that sacrifice he made was unsound. I should have won. I was very frustrated. And he's like, what? Well, that sacrifice doesn't matter. And I was like, what are you talking about? It matters. And he's like, well, it's the Dutch. They're going to make a sacrifice. It probably didn't work perfectly, but you would have had to find like 5 only moves. That's not the problem. The problem is you should have played d5 in the opening and just gave them a very hard time. And it was such a good reminder of I was like, what? I don't know anything about the Dutch. And it was a great impromptu lesson about the value of d5 early against the Dutch if you can get away with it, and how my opponent misplaced his knight. And it was just really great of him to do that for me. He's a really great guy. But my opponent did do a sacrifice that was not sound. And I made a blunder and lost. And it was a very, very frustrating way to lose. I don't like losing chess games like that. It makes me feel like we played real chess, and then one of us makes a ridiculous move, but then it still works, and it's just, I don't know. It always makes me feel weird. Like, what are we even doing then? If we're gonna play chess in such a way that you can just play bad and still win, then why are we doing this? Okay, I do think I found the answer to this. This knight has no escape squares, but our bishop is hanging. But we could just take their knight, trade, and then go here and trap their knight. Boop. What line in the Dutch? This is how little I know the Dutch. It wasn't the Stonewall, but they weirdly played knight bd7. They took forever to play e5, which is what I thought was like the main part of the Dutch. They never moved the c-pawn. It was a weird, bad variation of the Dutch. I don't really know what was happening. Okay, black to move, and we have this pawn. That's pretty insane. How is this not just checkmate? Okay, because they can block. If they block... Okay, so maybe I want to go here first then. Well, no, then they just pop out. Okay, I guess the real question is there a threat against our king safety? And the answer is, yeah, we're actually facing down checkmate. So we need something good here. So if we go here, queen, rook blocks. This is still coming back with checkmate if we move our queen in a way that isn't check. But we could go here. Nope, we can't go there. The knight is covering it. Boy. Maybe the best move is to simply drop the rook back. And then we're hitting this rook twice. The checkmate is gone. That looks like it's probably the answer. Let's go here. Okay. D5 is typical in Leningrad too. If black plays D5, if black plays knight C6, white pushes D5. Yeah. And it was just like, I didn't know any of those basics really. And the funny thing is I played all perfect moves up until when I should have played D5. Like, the engine loved my position. I liked my position. But I was just kind of like, I don't like... And my intuition was like, play D5. D5 has to be right. And then I was like, no, it kind of weakens my structure. I like the structure that I have. And it's just one of those frustrating moments. I didn't play the right move, and really, I lost because of it. And it was frustrating. Here. And it allowed... And then... Like, the sacrifice my opponent made was out of pure desperation because I outplayed him so much and that his position was terrible and he kind of had to make that sacrifice. It's just, I don't know, it's frustrating. Okay, so watch. So go here. Sorry. Here. King to G5. I have this fork, but then they take. So that fork doesn't work out great. Ah, they don't have that fork. Because the rook is covering it. So I go here. They go here, and then I can win. I might have something better even than just nabbing this bishop. Their position is so weak. Maybe this is mate. That is mate. Okay. Good. I'm learning from these puzzles that just grabbing a piece oftentimes is not what they want you to do. They want you to take it all. All right. This is an interesting one. Okay, so I think the answer is you play rook f7. If they take, you come back winning the rook. If you play rook 7 and they move aside, then you get to push the pawn up, and you're going to win that way. Okay, so they fall for the trap, and then you win the rook. Queen check, mate. So can they stop that? No, they cannot. Queen in your face. That was a pretty easy one for number 34. Okay, we've got a bishop hanging. That's great. What's the material like? Yeah, we're even. So if we get a hanging bishop, that should win. Why doesn't that just win? I feel like that's a trap or something. I mean, the problem is queen's pretty exposed. What if they play knight f5 next? Where does my queen go? Go to f8 or h8 or h7. I think it's fine. I mean, it seems like it has to be. Nope. Okay. Okay. What happened there? It felt too easy, right? It was like my calculation says it works, but my intuition, my gut is like, there's no way. There's no way that's the answer. It's too easy. Too easy. What about pinning it? No. I don't know. Pushing here. And look at this. The queen is trapped. I don't know. That seems ridiculous, though, that getting a free piece is not enough. Let's see. Let's see what the engine says about this one. It must be something about... Wait, where is this? Okay, they went there. Okay, so why doesn't this work? What do they have up their sleeves? They have knight h5. If I go queen h8. And queen g5. And eventually their position is starting to look better. I don't know. That's not a great puzzle, I don't think. But okay, sure. Let's move on. Yep, you were right, Daniel. It was g5. I don't think that was a great puzzle, though. I feel like... I don't know. I feel like winning the bishop was... I mean, I guess it doesn't work, but it's... I don't know. Something about that puzzle doesn't sit well with me. This I thought was winning. But this knight can just go back and block. So do we get anything else? It's still pinned. And then we could attack it a second time. And they can't back it up a second time. So I think that's the answer. Oh, what? Okay. I guess that is interesting, right? Because now we take... we don't win as much material as I thought we were going to. But I think we still do it. No. Huh. Wow. That was a really bad puzzle rush. Oh, I guess we take here first. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that one was just my fault. Okay. Well, we only got 34 today. It's a little on the sad side, man. 34. Jeez. Good thing I'm more process oriented. Looked at the 3 misses. So, let's see. Should we play a game? Yeah, maybe we should. What do you think? Should we see if Fried Foxy wants to play a game of Chess 960 so we can see why it's so hard? It is very hard. I've played it a couple times. It's fun, but it's hard. From the first moment, trying to figure out what the heck is happening. Especially makes Blitz very hard. All right, let's start with a challenge in the link. If anyone wants to play me, you can go ahead and click that. We can play a game. I didn't make it. I'll make it unrated if I can. I don't know if that changed it. I think it's fine. And if not, I'll play a random person. I'll play a couple of games and then we'll head out. Unless you guys want, we can also look at my game from last night. That's possible. I do, but I've played so many of your streams lately, so I should give the other viewers a shot first. Okay, I appreciate that, Fried Foxy. I'm not sure if anyone wants to play. Ah, Daniel wants to play. All right, Daniel, take the challenge. Let's do it. Hopefully it's working. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not working. It works. Okay. Okay. So I'm assuming righty is Daniel. 1760s, pretty darn high blitz rating. All right. Maybe a King's Indian, my guess. Okay. My favorite Smyslov defense. Kind of, I find that it's good against especially kids. It's sort of psychologically damaging. They're expecting this wild King's Indian game, and then it ends up being much more positional, and they're kind of like, what? Why is this lame old guy playing this positional King's Indian? I want to go attack him. Ooh, okay. I don't see most people doing that. So what do I do about that? If I take, they either get a really big center or take with the bishop. I think both of those would be bad for me. I don't like any of the options. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna go here. And yeah, why don't people play d6 or e6 there? That looks like a very strong move. I guess what it does do is it makes that knight a little bit weak, but I think that's okay. I'm gonna attack it a second time and blockade this pawn. Feels pretty strong. And then I'm probably going to push this pawn. Well, I guess I can't. Not easily. Kobian has some great model games of his in the Smyslov. Oh, okay. That's a really good advice. Thank you. I'm thinking about two things. I'm thinking about trying to understand more model games. And I'm also thinking about memorizing a bunch of model games. Like one for each of my openings as like the main line. I don't know. I can't figure out if that would be good or not. Okay, I think I should have gone there first. Yeah, now the pin is broken. Now they're just going to take... I have to take back with the queen, which is going to be very strange. Like, if they go here and I have to just jam my queen in the middle of the board, that looks weird. I don't know if it's bad. It looks weird, though. Interesting is I would be able to take there. My guess is first they're going to play the knight over to h5, trade off the bishop, so that's no longer available. But then this knight is looking quite well placed. So it's kind of a tough one. And also if they do this idea, maybe I can play e4 and really cement him. Yeah, so that kind of makes sense that they felt compelled to take. I guess the question is, do I take with the pawn? I don't think so. I think the whole point... Okay, wait. I think my advantage lies in this situation. I am missing that they can immediately follow up with this, but they can do that anyway. But I think I don't want to cover this pawn. I think this pawn is my target. I do have a cool idea of going like here, and then discovery. They'll have to move that guy. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Oh yeah, I could even go here. So we'll see what they do. What has he got up his sleeve? Okay, that makes sense. I think even I'm going to double here. Oh, I see what's happening. The bishop's coming here next, but I don't care. That's fine, and then I would just take here. And then I'll be able to double rooks on that file and maybe penetrate into the position. We'll see. I am down a pawn, but not for long. I feel like I have a good position here. Opponent's king is kind of airy. My pieces seem better developed. The only piece that's not very good for me is my e2 bishop, but it can come alive pretty easily. Okay. Kind of forcing me to make this trade, but I think I'm okay with it. Question is, do I take with the rook or not? If I take with the rook and they put a rook here and I go here, they take, they end up with their knight in the back. I don't think I have anything better than that is the problem, but it's not as strong as I was sort of originally thinking it was going to be. Suddenly I'm like, maybe my position's not that good. I thought it was quite strong, and now it does not look strong if my opponent trades off the rooks. And I kind of feel like I have to let them. I guess I don't have to let them. I could take, they take, and then maybe I go here, and then I'll be able to sneak in the back. I think that looks like it works. And then this knight is holding them off, and this bishop is holding them off. But takes is not mate because I can come back. So I think I'm okay. Let's see how this works out. Okay. I can now take this pawn. Okay. They take there. I do what? I think it's probably time to give myself an escape square, and also if they take here, it looks pretty messy for them. And if they push, I think that's fine. I guess now they get to that square, which I was not thinking of when I did this. Yeah, I guess I wish they were not getting to that square. But I guess I go here. Yeah, that was a good idea. Because now my knight looks very bad. I think I'm going to go here. Yeah, this probably is just a bad plan all around. I'll go here. Oh yeah, this doesn't work at all. It drops a piece. I knew it looked suspect, but I thought maybe I could hold it. But no, I'm just dead now. I guess this is falling. Maybe I have a fortress here, actually. How are they going to get through this? That's the real question. I don't have to do anything. What is my opponent going to do? But I have to find moves to waste. There. Just going to waste moves and tell my opponent, I don't think you can beat me, sir. I think that was a bad move. Now I get to lock the king on the back rank. Okay. I can go here. That might not have been the best. Here, I also didn't realize how long time I was. Answer is very. Okay. Yeah, letting him out is probably foolish, but I am running out of time. I'm going to try to win that bishop. Okay, coming out the other way. So he realized he got pinned. I can go here. He still can't come down. Woo! Okay, the fortress held. I don't know if that was actually a fortress or if that was just my opponent was having a hard time with time pressure. Let's find out. You know what? The engine says that was all a draw there at the end. I did have a fortress, except a win that I had. So we'll go to that in a minute. So interesting stuff there. I thought for sure you had the win, Daniel, and then it got strange. Okay, so this is just the normal Smyslov variation. Okay. And this was weird. I'm not saying bad. I'm saying weird. I haven't seen that before. What is the database say I'm supposed to hear? The database says that I should play the move that I know I'm supposed to play. Which is to go here. Which is the whole point is that... Well, actually, I think here is what I would do first. And is that what I did in the game? Yes. So first there. And then taking there. Interesting. So... Okay. Engine says that's fine. And now we're out of book entirely. G5 seems like a good idea. Okay. Yeah, I think this idea of taking with the queen is probably right. You misclicked F6. Oh, yeah, because when you played F6, everything kind of fell apart. That makes sense. Okay, interesting. So this one pawn is a mistake because I can go here, which I don't get that. Let's just say they go back. How is it a mistake now? I mean, I could do this regardless. Okay. I went here, I thought was fine. The engine says this is basically a draw. And that I shouldn't take here. I could just immediately go rook b1. That makes sense. I could have done that immediately. And then rook b3. Continuing to chase this guy around. Okay, whatever. This seemed fine, though. And then I thought I was okay here. The knight got pushed back. Yeah, when I made this move, I was like, uh-oh. Oh, boy. I think I'm going to be in trouble. But somehow in my brain, I was like, I'll be able to cover it. It'll be okay, because I had no time. I was not... Okay, actually, I'm curious. What the engine says this is a draw, because I could move here first. Okay, that makes sense. I just got the order wrong. They go here, they go here, win a free piece. And this is not a fortress. This is... I'm lost. Okay, one here. And then F6 was a mistake. Because now, how do you get your pieces involved? So at this moment, it's a draw, and this was a bad move. The computer says just keep shuffling the king around. Attack stuff, you'll be fine. But this does seem weird. Like, then can't they come out? Oh. Oh, okay. Because if they leave, then this drops. Okay. Interesting thing. Sorry. Trying to go back to the actual game. So I went there, which was a bad move because I left the defense of this pawn. And then when Daniel went there, that was kind of it. They missed their last chance to really be able to make this happen. And then from here, it is just a draw. I thought it said there was a moment where I was winning. Oh, here. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So apparently I'm winning after this move, which is fairly shocking. How am I winning? I would have to assume, oh yeah, look, you go here. Driving the king away from the defense of the bishop. Take the bishop, win the game. Wow, okay. I mean, it's hard to find when we're both just, you know, making moves with barely any seconds remaining. But that was interesting. Oh, you meant to play bishop f6 there. Interesting. Let's see. Where were we? Here. Yeah, bishop f6 does look much stronger. Okay. Well, interesting game, Daniel. Yeah, thanks for the game. Fun stuff. You definitely outplayed me. The misclick definitely helped. But I appreciate that you played something I hadn't seen before. That move, e6 here. I still don't know what I should do against it. I guess let's take a moment so I can try to put this in my brain. What do I do against e6? The engine suggests moving the knight here. Bishop d3 or h3. The database says bishop e2 or knight d2, and that knight d2 is by far the most common and the engine's number one move. So what makes that so good is what I'm not understanding. Why can't they still take? I take back the pawn. Okay, I mean, I guess this pawn is pretty strong. You can connect them all up if you want. But that's a hard one for me because I feel like, oh, okay, never mind. This still results in the same situation of the pawn here. And in fact, this hangs a piece, and they hung a piece in the middle. So, okay, yeah. So I guess they can't take here. They can because they can play g5 first. Okay. Point I was trying to get to is that it feels like this could be a weakness. And by putting the pawn here, we are covering their weakness, which feels weird to me. But with the way it was going to work, if I tried to stick my knight there, it wouldn't have worked anyway. And then I think the point is, after taking here, knight d2 is supposed to be followed up with knight c4, which is a very common spot for the knight in this variation. And then now the knight is the one putting pressure on d6. Maybe this knight comes over to b5, also putting pressure on d6. And so even though we can't attack it directly along the d file, there's still a lot of pressure on d6. I think that is kind of the point. We're doing it with knights, and by taking here, we freed up a really nice spot for the knight. And I think that's what happened in the game as well. Instead of taking here, I could have taken with a pawn, and while I was thinking like, oh, I don't really like that, you know, this is probably the kind of stuff that's going to happen. Here, if I want, I can go knight d2, or at some point at least, I'm going to make this maneuver, and suddenly this knight is looking very strong, and that pawn is looking weak, and all the same things that happened before are still there. That pawn gets piled up on. So I think I had the right idea of I want to be able to pile up on that pawn. I was just thinking I had to do it from the d file, and doing it from the d file, all that did was liquidate everything rather than pile up on their weakness. So lets me develop the knight to c6. I have a hole, but I have freer development. Okay. So you're saying by playing e6. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, once this is resolved, you could play to c6. But if you were to take, let's say I go here and you take, and I take with a pawn, now you don't have c6. So taking with the pawn, yet another reason, right? So yeah, I'm seeing more and more why taking with the pawn is good in this spot, which is what's so hard about chess, right? Because the principle I've learned is that this is a weakness. Don't put the pawn in front of it blocking the weakness, because now it's harder to target, right? So if we have any way of taking this any other way, which we do here, we can take with the knight, because the knight can't take back. Technically it can because of g5, but let's say it couldn't. Let's say they went here instead. Now this is going to become a target at some point. So like we could move back, and my principle would have been that like now we can really target this thing. But the needs of the position were such that this kind of overrides that principle. It also allows other principles that in this type of structure, this c4 square is great for the knight. So you are vacating that square, and from that square you're attacking the weakness. So this is what makes chess hard. And also I think it's one of the reasons why you really want to know your openings, not memorizing all of the lines, but like knowing that this knight really likes c4 will help me be able to understand that taking here with the pawn is better. And I know that going to c4 is good, and that's how I was able to figure out once I saw it was the right answer. But even in the game, I didn't put those ideas together enough. Think of it like a good Benoni. Yeah, that is a good point. Okay, well, I think that is going to do it today. We went about an hour. Had some fun. Had some interesting stuff. Oh, that's right. I forgot we got cheated out of one of our puzzles in the Puzzle Rush Survival. How sad that was. All right. Well, we only got to like 34 today. It was very sad. But tomorrow is another day, and I will see you tomorrow for yet another round of Puzzle Rush Survival. Okay. I think we should start doing a thing where, like, you guys try to beat my score or something. I don't know. Maybe everyone comes to this stream with their best Puzzle Rush Survival score of the day or of the last couple days so we can compare or something. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a good motivator. It's up to you guys. All right. I will see you all next time.